Alright, so since this pseudo celebrity asked, I thought I might as well go ahead with this. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first official PlusU prop plays where I teach you how to make cosplays that can work in your films on a good, nice budget. This first episode comes by request of a friend of mine, and I'm not sure if I should tell you exactly who is the one who did it, but I'm just letting you know he does some other stuff there, and I think you should support him. Anyway, the character that he wanted to see me try to make a cosplay out of was Aqualad. I'm guessing from Young Justice, but I'm actually going to use a bunch of different Aqualad like forms and variations, so that way I can make one that's a little more unique to me. Not that it won't be in general, because I probably can't make it look like the cartoon, but you know what? I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to show you guys how you can get there too. Now for this, I created another template so that I could make things a little more superhero-y. The last one that I made was a little more genuine, it didn't have as much figure to it. So I went back and I was like, this is a good super suit template, and I think that I'm going to use this for all of my templates going forward. That being said, this is probably going to be the last time that I show you like the process of how to make a template, because I've done I've done that a few times. I mean, it don't really change if you have a template. But all that said, this one is a bit different. So if you were trying to use the last one, you would not be able to keep up. So I need to do it again for this one. And if I get another character that's drastically different, I'll show you how to make the template for it. But for the most part, they're pretty much the same, except for like a few key details that make different things look different. But for the most part, the base is always the same. It's like a shirt or a jacket or whatever, and you can make that off this template. That being said, let's get into it. Alright, so this time around I'm using newspaper as a base. I feel the newspaper is a bit more accessible to use, so just remember you're going to have to seal it on the side so that it stays in place when you want to use that. Secondly, what I'm going to do is be extremely tight with the duct tape or the painter's tape that I use in order to secure my piece until I have it completely wrapped on both sides, the front and the back. I've got like a nice little cast going, and I can work with this. This looks pretty good. And after I have both sides clearly wrapped, I can create a seam line along the front and eventually one along the back that will allow me to make side by side pieces. Now the major difference with this template is that I went in and added a piece that was kind of just flowing into other pieces and it didn't really make sense. I just kind of did it. But the new piece is an added rib guard, which will give you a bit more definition and allow you to shape out things a little bit better than the last one did. I mean, the last one came out pretty good. Y'all saw it towards the end. But there were certain pieces that weren't really stretching right, and I was just like, oh, okay. Well, I could fix this with just like some heat, but I think it's better to just go back and like recreate it. So once I have a singular side done, I ended up using the left side of my template instead of the right side, so I went in and just like redrew it on the left side. But after I get my template drawn out, I'm going to go through, cut along the seam line that I got because I only really need half, and after I get the half out, I'm going to test it for myself. Now, unlike last time, where I just used the basic like front part of my mannequin, I ended up filling it with pillows in the back where it's hollow and then wrapping the newspaper around. So it was a more form-fitting mannequin. It's still smaller than me, so I'll have to make a couple adjustments when I wear it, but yeah, it turned out pretty good. And before I get to the next part, what I want to do is go in and strip off all the excess newspaper. This is because if I try to put it on a flat surface, the newspaper will kind of crumple against it and it might mess up my shapes if I don't do it then. And if I try to go through and cut, the newspaper might get in the way of trying to cut out the individual shapes, and I don't want that either. So it's just easier to strip it down till it's nice and, well, it's not going to be smooth, but it will be relatively smooth because the pieces that actually stick to the duct tape or whatever tape you use will stay in place. So it'll be nice and it won't be smooth. I don't want to use the word smooth, and that's the word coming to my mind, but it'll be smoother than just having a bunch of newspaper there. And once you get that done, then you will have the ability to cut out all of your individual shapes and just, oh. Anyway, after you get all of those shapes out, you can place it onto some construction paper, get your templates, and then transfer those templates onto your phone. And once you have them all in place, you will be able to start gluing them together. Now, the gluing process for this template is going to be a little bit different, so let's go over it. So I totally forgot to mention that I added in a shoulder rise for the back. Now, you don't really need this thing, but I personally like it. I think it ties together things a little well. It's basically just going to be a C alongside the back part of the shoulder. And we're starting off by putting some contact cement on the outer edge of that C, and then we're going to put some along the edge on the face of our back piece. Now, I say along and on because I want to like make the difference very clear, mostly because you're going to have to put some things on the edges of these pieces and along the edge on the face of other pieces so that it can get some three-dimensionality to it. Now, shoulder rise is really weird because you actually have to do both, which is why I'm not going to say that you need it, but in case you know what you're doing with it, basically you're just going to place the top part of the edges together, and then everything else is going to go along the back side of where your back is so that you can get a rise, and it'll look kind of like this. So it'll kind of start going flat, it'll rise up that one individual line, but it'll keep a nice line along where the seam is. Next, we're going to work with the collar piece, and I'm going to place my contact cement along the outer edge of the collar piece so it'll be on the face. And after I get it along the face, then I'm going to apply glue on the inner edge of my back piece that I have right now, so that way when I put them together, the collar piece will be at a bit of a rise too. While I'm here, it makes sense to just go ahead and get ready for the collarbone attachment, and I'm going to put contact cement on the edge of that place where I put the shoulder rise and the back part together, so that way it can attach to the collarbone piece and make a nice little circle for where like your neck and head are supposed to go through, so that things are a little bit easier when you actually start putting things together. And for the collarbone piece, what I'm basically going to do is put my contact cement on its back edge and then go through and put contact cement on the inner edge. Next, it's time to combine things together. So first, I'm going to start from the back. And if you notice, I always start from where a major seam is supposed to be, and then I work out. That way, if I have a lot of excess, I can just cut it off towards where the seam is, because the major front and back seams are the most important to have as straight as possible. If you don't have those straight, then nothing is going to work at all. The other seams you can sort of manage by just cutting off little pieces of the excess. And after I have that piece squared away and I'm started reaching into the front, I thought it would be nice and just go ahead and start placing my front pieces together. Now I'm going to skip the glue putting on portion of everything because I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. I'll just explain what pieces go together. For the chest, you place your contact cement on the curved edge, and for the chest lift, you're going to put contact cement on the back along the inner edge that you would attach the curved edge to. Then what you're going to do for the rib and the ab is place contact cement on the lower curve for the rib. Then on the ab, you're going to place the contact cement along the upper curve. And you're going to follow that same trend between the rib and the chest lift, on the curve for the chest lift and along the top curve of the rib, so that you can put them together, have some dimensionality, and yeah, it'll be a nice even piece. And I mean, my chest ain't really that big, but it'll still look nice. Like, it still looks pretty good on me, I'd say. Next up, we are going to be attaching the sides to the abdominal and the rib sections. Now, you're going to put contact cement along the edge of the ab, and you're going to put contact cement on the inner edge of the side. It's going to be along the entire inner edge of the side and along the top edge of the side, and then on the bottom of the rib where the side attaches, you're going to put contact cement on the edge of that piece. That way, when you attach it, you can get a bit of a rise out of your side, and things will be nice and smooth along the ribs. Then you're going to place the contact cement on the collarbone and the pectorals edges so that they can combine together, and you will have a nice little piece. Next, we're going to make armholes by attaching the lower part of the shoulder rise to the top part of the rib. Last, you can attach the lower back side because it's typically the biggest piece that you cut out, and you usually can just cut it out in whatever shape you want to fit you. So I like attaching it last, and once you do that, you can put contact cement along the inner seams after you've cut it up so that they're both even and straight along both sides, and place them together. That way you can have a full suit. Now, as you can see, the front part of the suit is longer than the back part, which it makes sense for what I want to do later. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it like that for right now. And yeah, this came out looking pretty good. Alright everyone, here is the final product. Notice it's got a little bit of rise in the abdominal there. That's good. We got the rise in the chest area. That's great. And we got the rise in the shoulders and along the back. That's also good. It's pretty form fitting. Now, I can't get into this right now, obviously, because it's sealed up on every side, and if I were to try and get into it, I would either burst the template, or I would burst the seams at some given point. And I don't want to do that. But I like doing things like this. I ended up seeing somebody do this on Instagram once, where they just made the whole thing. Then they went in and drew in all the details that they wanted to see on the thing. Then they started opening it up, and that's when they started attaching it so they could wear it. So I actually like that way of doing things myself. So next time when we come back, I'm going to draw in all my details. I'm going to sand down all this excess glue and stuff. I mean, I'm sure y'all can see it, that it's up there when you really look at it. In terms of being on film, you wouldn't notice that after I put some coats of plastic dip over top of it, or whatever foundation you want to use for the paint. But I don't know. I like it to be as smooth as possible, so I'm going to take some really fine grit sandpaper, go over top of that, and just make it nice and smooth. And then we're going to put some plasti dip on this thing and then paint it, and it's pretty much going to be done after that. That's how it's going to be. So with that said, I can't do it today because I still haven't gone by to get my plasti dip. I have some, but the plasti dip that I have is white, and I like working with black plasti dip. You'll see why in the next video, because I promise you, working with black plasti dip for the base, when you just do a base coat, that makes everything easier in the long run. The white stuff, basically you're gonna have to paint over is not a good look unless they're supposed to be white. Even if they're supposed to be white, because the white one is more transparent anyway, so it just wastes more paint. So with that said, I think I'm gonna get on out of here and start working on the next phase of this prop play. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have a character you want me to try and do next, leave it in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Later.